Hello guys, and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to talk about context and also talk a little bit about session sweeps. This is just an intro. It's not going to be super detailed, but it'll get a little bit understanding of what it means. So first and foremost, what really is this? It's pretty much sweeps of highs and lows and sweeps of liquidity. But for example here, longs getting wiped at the low, and here again, the longs from this move getting stopped out on here and used as fuel for continuation to the upside. So it's pretty much liquidity sweep. That's pretty much the explanation for it. I'm going to talk a little bit about some setups and some examples of where to use these trades and where to not use these trades, because this is not a blind trade, but this is sometimes give good scalps, and I like to use these for triggers on the 1 to 5 minute for intraday scalps and trades. In this case, for example, we have made an Asia low here, and you can see London opens up around here and just ranges before it breaks down and tests this low and wipes the potential longs. So in this case, we didn't get us SFP on the 1 minute. Then I just zoom out on the 5 minute, because if I don't see a trigger on the 1 minute, but the idea is still the same and the zone is still good, I look at the 5 minute for targets and for triggers. And in this case, we see this SFP already after the candle close. I'm in already. And I see this momentum getting better with the money flow already here starting to get better. So that makes the confidence of the trade higher for me. I'll put stop loss a little bit below the low. And in this case, if I take the trade on 1 minute, I look at highs and lows on the 1 minute. If I take it on the 5 minute, on the 5 minute. So in this case, these highs would be the main target of the trade, and the trade would have been played out. And if you wanted, you can use this zone as a key flip zone as well. And you can see in this case, it gives continuation. So if you wanted, you could either add around here or just leave a runner towards potentially this flip zone. You can see here, previous key support getting flipped to resistance and used as resistance once more. It could be a target of this trade. But we also made another Asia high, as you see up here. But in this case on momentum, you can see already up here, the momentum is extremely high. And the money flow is not getting worse, it's getting better. So that's a red flag for me. And you see this SFP, of course, but the momentum and money flow is way too strong. So based on the context here and the area, I would avoid this trade, but I would have taken a trade below. That's just, in this case, just shows that nothing is 100%, and just because it worked one time doesn't mean it will work every time. And in this case, it didn't work, for sure not. Here again, we can have a look at another Asia low. We can also look at the 1 minute for triggers and how the momentum was looking. So I like to use these triggers depending on the time frame. So if I look for a scalp, I usually on the 1 minute, but sometimes I can use the 5 minute as well, because time frames are fractal, as meaning that a signal or a price action move that happens on 1 minute also happens on the 4 hour and so on. It's just more extreme and more explosive on lower time frames. That's just the way it is, and doesn't mean that you don't. So, I mean, higher time frames have more value for sure, but for scalps and intraday triggers and interests, I feel that lower time frames are extremely powerful and can give you extremely good risk reward and be very effective to collecting profits intraday. Here you can see this major wick getting made by Asia. You can see the major spike. So as you know, longs have gone wiped on this move and been used as fuel to take the price up for a reversal. So already up here, I also checked the 30 minute, and this is a good buying tail. But when I look at intraday lows and highs, I look at, is it a buying tail? Is it a selling tail at the highs? Is it a poor high or low? If it's a poor high and low, and it's a potentially Asia high and low or London high and low, I personally mostly use London high and London low and Asia sessions. If it's a poor high and low, I'm a little bit more careful, because a poor high and low isn't a blind trade, but it's a trade we watch for SFP. But then I would likely be more on the 5 to 50 minute watching for an SFP, but I would be extremely needing of seeing some momentum and money flow at the zone. If not, I'm gonna just stick to the other zones pretty much, because it's not a blind trade, and it's usually a trade we see a bigger spike below or above. So it can burn you for sure. So please be careful on the poor highs and lows. If you have a bigger selling tail or bigger buying tail, in theory, the zone is pretty strong if you retest it some hours later or a day later or so on. So it's pretty much a strong low or a strong high. That makes the confidence higher if you see some triggers for taking a long trade at the sweep of the session low. In this case, you can see a bigger wick with also a bigger spike, but we see momentum is really low, but it's getting better. And you also see the money flow getting better pretty early. So this would be already a get in quick. As long as we get above, I'm in. Stop loss would be below the low. And again, here the target would be the local highs on the 1 minute, because this trade was taken on the 1 minute with the 1 minute targets. But again, here, if you want, you can potentially, as you can see, the momentum is getting high. You could gamble on breaking out a little bit, but I would still have an idea of taking the profits here and rather be, this should be a bonus at least. And you also see it, this is pretty much just a fake out before the price rolls over once again. And it's also a little bit less volume up here, so it could reverse quickly as it does, and reverse quickly, extremely quick to the downside. So this is just a scalp. This is for sure not a swing trade or anything. It's just a scalp trade intraday. So I just want to give you a few tips on the session sweeps before I end the video. The first thing is, where are we on the high time frames? All these setups was pretty much on lower time frames and not in any major high and low, and not in any major 4-hour structure, daily structure, and so on. Just based on previous week, we didn't really have any major extremely good session sweeps, because the price made new highs pretty often, and if we made new lows, we front run the highs and didn't retrace the session highs and lows. So if we are in clear range for a week, we're ranging pretty much between key highs and lows, session sweeps are usually extremely good. But when we break to the upside or break to the downside, session sweeps tend to get front run and tend to not get tested, at least intraday. And then that's not as relevant. But if you have these session sweeps on a key high and low on the higher time frames, with potentially a 4 level being formed intraday at the same day, potentially forming a key selling tail at the area, or forming potentially having an anchored VWAP in the same zone, upper band, lower band, so on, other confluences with the indicator showing signals. You can use RSI, that's okay, that's perfect. At least you see some triggers at the zone with some more data and some more backing of the idea. Just the same with key lows and highs. But if you're not having that, you can still for sure look at it. Look at signals on the 1 to 5 minute, and then look for a scalp, pretty much. That's a scalp. Also on the high time frames, if you are a key zone, you can look at SFPs even on the 10 to 20 minute, or potentially even higher, but I would like 50 minute. That's ideal in my opinion, but then the target could be bigger because you're in a key zone, and key zones tend to give bigger reversals up or down. This was a few tips on context and session sweeps. We didn't have the best session sweeps this week, so these setups and ideas wasn't pretty much for this week, but I'm gonna make a new video yet next week with some more examples of the coming week's examples, and post a few good ones and bad ones, and some tips and tricks, and where I may have lost, where I may have won, and so on, because I want to share both sides of the story. I love to share trading. I love trading, and it's been my full-time job for 2 years. I'm looking for way more years in this game, in the investment and trading game. A few bonus tips on context. If you had a really good day or a pretty bad day, dare to take the day off, dare to call it a day. Don't be greedy, and don't be wanting to earn the losses back, because that tends to give bigger drawdowns. So please be careful of that. And dare to look at context, dare to look at what do we have in this zone? Is this a good high? Is it a bad high? Selling tail or not? Is it buying tail or not? Do we have, where was the VWAP? Do we have some 4 levels? Do we have some structure high and lows in this same zone? Do we have poor volume? Do we have high volume in the zone? That's a few things you can look at, but just make sure to have some more data on the same zone. Other than that, hope you liked today's video. I'm gonna make way more learning videos soon. and I'm going to cover this more next week. I'm also going to cover context on SNR levels and on range. So we're in the range for day traders, and that's going to be a fantastic video for our traders. I think that's going to help a lot of people. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Bye.